Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, let me tell y'all something. We got to understand when it comes to Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. Maybe we're, looking at what could happen with this fight a little too early. But the bottom line is this fight has been in the making for several years. I think like 5 to 6 years. But I'm going to tell you, I think it's a 50-50 fight before anybody shoots me or publicly lynches me in the comment section. But I do think the motivation to become first two-weight undisputed champion in the four-belt era could be enough to will Terence Crawford to victory. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I think when you look at that, it's a pretty big deal. But anyway, when you think about Crawford and Spence, when Errol Spence Jr. turned professional, I think he turned professional right after the 2012 Olympic Games. I think those were held in London, right? There were a few highly regarded boxing people that were having huge discussions about Errol Spence and knowing that he was about to become professional, and of course started doing fighter comparisons. And they were doing the same thing with Terence Crawford. But this is the thing, right? One of the names that came up over and over when they start comparing Spence and Crawford, Sugar Ray Leonard, and of course, Hearns. Now we know Spence is a southpaw, and Leonard, who won gold at I think it was in Montreal in 1976, he was an orthodox fighter. But the point is just that Spence has had the ability and has shown to still have the ability to do things that would have made Leonard, one of the game's legends, struggle. Now, he's one of the 10 greatest boxers ever and proved it in an era that was just plagued with elite talent. Now, more than a decade later, we got Errol Spence, who's getting ready to head into the biggest fight of his career. And for Terence Crawford, who's getting ready to head into the biggest fight of his career. Those comparisons when it comes to Leonard with Spence and Crawford with Hearns, look, those comparisons are going to remain intact. But this is the thing. Spence and Crawford are both regarded as, top, I would say, 3 when it comes to the pound-for-pound list. Some have Crawford rated the number 1. But at the end of the day, some people feel these guys have held titles and never really been challenged. I don't agree with that, but everyone has an opinion. But on July 29th, a whole lot's going to change, no matter what your opinion is on Spence, what your opinion is on Crawford. Because Spence and Crawford are going to get busy for the undisputed welterweight title at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Now, Crawford's entry into the professional ranks was a little bit different now than Errol Spence. Errol Spence, remember, he's coming out the Olympics. Now, I'm gonna tell you this right now. He won a lightweight belt 6 years after turning pro, and that's when things began to click for Terence Crawford. And then he didn't have any problem quickly unifying the super lightweight title, and that's what we need to understand. And now he has the opportunity to unify the welterweight crown, which is to become undisputed in 2 different weight divisions. Now, Sugar Ray Leonard was regarded as the so-called pretty boy when he first met Duran, who by that point had been regarded by many as the best lightweight in history. Duran fought with a snarl that made him as intimidating as any boxer. Leonard, though, proved his toughness in that bout with Duran. He showed the ability to stay outside and box, and could have won that bout by using his legs and his jab. But he wanted to make a point, and so he stayed in the pocket and fought Duran's fight. When it was over, opinion on the verdict was mixed, but Duran left with a close, unanimous decision. Leonard demanded an immediate rematch and outboxed Duran, forcing him to quit in the infamous No Mas bout 5 months later. Going into Crawford-Spence now, it seems like Crawford now is the best comparison for Leonard. Now remember, when Spence first turned pro, they were comparing him to Leonard. But now, time has passed. These guys have developed their professional boxing styles, right? And now Crawford is the best comparison to Leonard. Crawford is a brilliant boxer who has the legs, the jab, and the uncanny combinations to win a fight that way. No matter what you think about Spence and Crawford, you can't tell me that as far as what they've displayed in the ring since they've turned pro, that you think Errol Spence is a better boxer than Terence Crawford. You just, if you say that, I have to tell you, and it's more of a kind request in the most respectful manner, that you hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. Come on now. That's like saying Crawford is a better pressure fighter than Spence. He has not displayed it. I'm not saying Spence can't box. I'm not saying Crawford can't apply pressure and cut the ring off. What I'm telling you is Spence is more of the pressure fighter, cutting the ring off and just stressing you out mentally. Crawford is more of the guy who I would say is more of a brilliant boxer with the legs, the jab, and just, combinations, counter-punching abilities. But they both can do it. But if you have to categorize one, I'd say Crawford more boxer, Spence more pressure fighter, okay? But at the end of the day, there's no meaner, no tougher boxer in the game than Terence Crawford. And for those of you who didn't know, Crawford's middle name is Allen. But like Leonard, Crawford's boxing IQ is sky high and is likely the best in the business at this point. And I'm going to point something out to you. I talked about this on my live last night. When Crawford got hurt by Gamboa, everybody has seen that video, right? Boom, Gamboa steps in close, drops the right hand. Crawford was standing in the southpaw stance. He got hit with that right hand and Crawford was hurt. He started dancing. But while he was hurt, Crawford had the wherewithal to realize this man hit me with a right hand. I'm standing southpaw. And Crawford immediately changed to orthodox because he knew Gamboa was going to load up on the right hand because he was standing southpaw. Once he went orthodox, Gamboa threw the right hand. Crawford was able to get away with it and counter with the left hook. And then hit him with the uppercut. And in that same round, he finished the fight. So for someone to get hurt and then still be able to think while hurt of what they did wrong to get hit with a shot like that, to make the correction, come back and finish the person just a matter of seconds later, that shows that Crawford's boxing IQ is sky high. I mean, his boxing IQ is out of here. Now, like Leonard, Crawford is a finisher. Spence is too, but we're talking about Crawford right now. When he hurts an opponent, man, you just don't see him let those guys off the hook. Look, man, Leonard fought Hearns 10 months after his rematch with Duran. And Hearns got out to a big lead in what was compelling and a dramatic bout. Now, the legendary trainer Angelo Dundee implored Leonard to step on the gas. After the 12th, Dundee famously said to Leonard, "Yo, you're blowing it now, son. You're blowing it." I know everybody probably remembers seeing that. If you're a true boxing head, you know what I'm talking about. Now, Leonard viciously attacked Hearns in the 13th and finished him with a brutal assault on the ropes in the 14th. Now, that's the type of fighter Crawford is. And he showed that in the Porter fight where they told him, look, you're behind, you're losing. Crawford, you can see the camera, you can read his mouth. He's like, how? And he's like, so I'm down? I'm losing? They were like, yeah. He was like, okay, I got it. And Crawford went out the next round and stopped Porter. Okay? Now, when we talk about Crawford, right? Being faced with a situation where he finds himself behind, let me tell you, he's going to react. Same way Leonard did with the first Hearns fight and the same way Crawford did in the Porter fight. He's going to step on the gas. Now, Spence is an extraordinary talent and has a few weaknesses in the ring. If he has one at all, it's that he hasn't always lived the life of a fighter and hasn't in the past been shy about partying. We know Spence has kind of tightened up and got his stuff together, but it makes you wonder just how many miles has been put on Spence's body with all the wear and tear from alcohol and partying, not eating right and everything else. And the reason I'm saying that is because you got to look at Adrian Broner, right? Them guys were all on the same circuit doing foolishness. But Broner definitely has more miles on his young 33-year-old body. But Spence has a whole lot of miles too. Crawford has never lived that kind of life. And that makes the difference. Crawford is a disciplined professional athlete, takes his job serious. That's something else we need to consider, all right? In addition to the fact that Crawford has an opportunity to become a two-weight undisputed champion in the four-belt era. That could be enough to will him to win. We also got to understand the fact that Crawford has never done anything to neglect his body. Only thing you can say is Crawford got shot in the head back when he was young. But that hasn't showed to present any issue for Terence Crawford. So let's just be real now. When you look at that, it's fair to say, if any wear and tear is going to show up on somebody, I would say Errol Spence. But some of you guys would say, well, Crawford's had more fights. He's been boxing longer. Look, we can go back and forth. I'm not here to say you're wrong or I'm right. I'm just having a conversation with you, right? But there's never been a fighter who has been undisputed champion in 2 weight classes. And that's what we're talking about. Crawford and Usyk both have the opportunity to do that. But, Usyk just can't get Fury to cooperate. Crawford and he and Spence were able to get on the phone and make things work, because it wasn't Spence who was stopping the fight. It wasn't Crawford who was stopping the fight. It was those key decision makers in the damn secret society and the greedy bellies that were stopping Crawford and Spence from happening. Once those two got on the phone, they had the aha moments, and look what happened. Boom, we got the fight. Usyk and Fury, it's not the key decision makers in secret society stopping that fight. It's Fury. It's the fighter. So Usyk is in a horrible position, because Fury's not going to budge until he gets what he wants, and he doesn't care, because he can still go on and fight and make 40, 50 million out there in the UK. Usyk can't do that. But that being said, we know Crawford, he was the undisputed super lightweight champion. Usyk was the undisputed cruiserweight champion. Crawford is going to get the chance before Usyk to fight Spence for all 4 belts. Now, Usyk has 3, but again, you got to reach a deal with the WBC champion Tyson Fury. But we just have to wait and see what happens. Now, it's early and things may change as we see the fighters in training camp. You can see Errol Spence is coming down big time in weight. Crawford already looks like he's in fighting shape. May take a little bit. Let me tell you what, man. I say a little less than 2 months. A little less than 2 months away. I think with the training, I think the versatility, man, with Crawford could be the difference. He fights orthodox and southpaw equally as well. Nobody's been able to solve that riddle. Nobody's been able to solve the Errol Spence riddle either. But I think the first half of the fight, I just think we're going to see Crawford, man, pull away. And don't be surprised if there ends up being a stoppage. But I'll tell you this, going down the stretch, you got to favor Errol Spence, but you can't count Crawford out, because going down the stretch, Crawford has shown to start to pull away from the middle part of the fight. So as the fight goes on, Crawford also picks up the pace. His output increases, his accuracy increases, and his will to win shows up in the fight. So I'm just telling you right now, as far as what Crawford's been able to do since he's turned pro, there's a reason why people saying that in this era, Crawford may be the greatest, and that's why so many people have him as number 1 on their pound-for-pound list. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Do not be surprised afterwards if there are plenty of comparisons between Leonard and Crawford rather than between Leonard and Spence. Because when you talk about boxer-puncher, I'm not saying Errol Spence can't be, he's not that guy if he wants to be. What I'm telling you is hasn't been more of his approach. He's been more of a haggler type guy. But with Terence Crawford, let me tell you something. Errol Spence is a little bit taller. Reach-wise, I think they may be about the same. Errol Spence is definitely the naturally bigger man. Doesn't mean he's stronger than Terence Crawford. All right? But when they get in that ring, let's say both of their chins are about the same. Okay? Speed-wise, it just depends. But I think Crawford may edge him out. Conditioning-wise, you got to say Spence probably edges him out. But at the end of the day, when things get tough in there, they both have proven that they're not going to quit. Errol Spence, with everything he's been through, we don't even need to talk about that anymore. Errol Spence is a monster. But when things get really, 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 really messy in there, and you talk about the opportunity, not just to become an undisputed champion, but to become the first 2-weight undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. Let me tell you, that's enough to will anyone to victory. And I think that could be the difference with Crawford and Spence going in their training camps right now, going into the fight and during the fight. But again, I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. I think it's a 50-50 fight, but I'm very, very interested in this motivation that Crawford has and understanding history and understanding how no one wants to, a lot of people don't want to give this man credit for what he's done in boxing. And I tell you what, if he gets in there and does the business to Errol Spence, or if Errol Spence does the business to him, and people are still saying things like, Crawford was chinny, Spence, we knew he was going to beat him, or Spence was in the car accident, had the eye issue, we knew Crawford was going to beat him, it doesn't count, Crawford needs a fight. Keith Thurman now. When it comes to those comments that I see on my page, I am going to kindly request, and I'm going to say it in the most respectful manner, that you hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. That being said, y'all keep cool. Motivation to become first 2-weight undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. That may be enough to will Terence Crawford to a victory. But you got to wait and find out, because that is not an easy fight. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I'm in the breeze.